Good evening. Hello? Can you hear me? Sound okay? Hello? Okay. Good evening. I would like to begin with the land acknowledgement. The West Hollywood Planning Commission acknowledges that the land on which we gather and that is currently known as the City of West Hollywood is the occupied, unceded, seized territory of the Gabrielino Tonga and Gabrielino Quiche peoples. It is 6:01 p.m., and I would like to now call this meeting to order. That takes us to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Solomon, would you please lead us in the pledge? Thank you. Item number 3, roll call. Secretary Gillig, may we please have roll call?
Thank you, and good evening, Commissioners. Commissioner Solomon. Here. Commissioner Mattos.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Here.
Commissioner Hoopengarner.
Present.
Commissioner Carvalero.
Here.
Vice Chair Guigua.
Here.
Chair Lombardi.
Present.
And we have a 7-member quorum.
Thank you. Item number 4, approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Moved by Commissioner Matos and seconded by Vice Chair Gregoire.
And the motion passes unanimously, approving the agenda for February 6, 2025 as presented.
Thank you. Item 5, approval of minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes this evening. 5A are the verbatim transcription minutes from December 19th, 2024.
Yes, staff presented a memorandum of a few clerical errors yesterday, and it was posted online. So if those are approved by the commission, we can approve those as is.
I would move to approve.
Okay, moved by Hoopengarner,
I will second.
seconded by Matos.
And the motion passes, noting 5 ayes, and Commissioner Solomon abstaining and Commissioner Jones abstaining from the minutes presented for December 19th, 2024 as amended.
Thank you. Item 5B are minutes from January 16th, 2025, summary minutes.
And that is the same. We had a supplemental memo go out yesterday. It was posted online. The commissioners got it, just noting a few clerical errors also.
Okay.
I move approval. I will second.
Okay. Moved by the Vice Chair and seconded by Commissioner Matos.
And the motion passes, noting 6 ayes and Commissioner Jones abstaining, approving the minutes for January 16, 2025 as amended through the memorandum.
Thank you. Item 6 is public comment. This is general public comment. Do we have anyone wishing to speak today?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We do have one speaker in chambers, Wendy Goldman. Wendy, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and city of residence for us.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, City staff, and distinguished guests. I would like to speak about the Historic Preservation Commission and how I might find details about a property that has been evaluated as appearing eligible for local listing as part of potential Sherman thematic grouping in 2008 survey, resurveyed for 2022-23 multifamily survey update, not fully visible from public right-of-way, could not be assessed. And I have seen the same comment for a number of years. This is regarding the 9027 Harriet Street property that has been vacant for more than 25 years. More than 18 people were evicted from this property and the adjoining parcel that has 3 or maybe 4 separate buildings on this property. And due to a variety of reasons, nothing has transpired. I'm just trying to find out if it's historic, then I will be satisfied. I would just like a determination. And I've not been able to contact the commissioners from Historic Preservation Commission. So thank you. I look forward to getting some kind of information about it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have one more public speaker. Our last public speaker will be Joshua. Joshua, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Chair Lombardi, Vice Chair Gregoire, esteemed members of the West Hollywood Planning Commission. My name is Joshua Marin-Mora. I'm the West Hollywood Field Representative for Assemblymember Rick Chavez-Zabur. And I'm here tonight to reintroduce myself and to also, on behalf of Assemblymember Zabur, express his sincere appreciation for the work that you all do for the city and for our district. I follow the commission's work, and the assembly member knows that tough decisions are made on this body and that there may be disagreements, and it can quite often be a thankless job. Not easy, but important work nevertheless. And on housing, for instance, it continues to be a top priority for Assembly Member Zabur, so he values the work that you do on that front as well and extends his heartfelt gratitude for your thoughtfulness, your thoroughness, and your commitment to serving the people of West Hollywood. Please let me know, however, I can be a resource for you all, and please know that our office is open as well. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And Chair, that is our last public speaker.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is the director's report.
Good evening, Chair Lombardi, Vice Chair Gregoire, members of the Commission, Nick Marisich, Community Development Director. Here tonight with some planning-related updates for you. We had a busy night at the City Council meeting held earlier this week on February 3rd, so if you'd allow me, I'd like to recap some of the important items that staff from the Community Development Department presented, and I can report that the Council took the following actions. The Council approved an ordinance updating the city's accessory dwelling unit regulations. I'd like to thank Senior Planner Tahira Ferris for leading this time-sensitive work to ensure that we remained up to date on changes in state law for accessory dwelling units, or ADUs. The Council received and filed a report on the Zoning Improvement Program for Housing, or ZIP for short, which will also be shared with the Commission, this presentation soon. So thank you to Associate Planner Michelle Montenegro for leading this important effort as part of our housing element implementation. The Council received a final implementation update on the Eastside Community Priorities Plan and directed staff to conclude ongoing tracking of this plan as its recommendations have been either fulfilled or actively underway, nearing completion, or have been integrated into other more recent work plans and initiatives. I'd like to thank Senior Planner David Fenn for his work on this, and also thank him for his work on the Metro K-Line North First Last Mile Early Assessment Plan, which was also adopted by Council on Monday night. And the 5th item from our long-range planning team, we were very busy regarding the city's bike giveaway program, which was presented by staff and approved by the Council. So thank you to Associate Planner Paige Portwood for leading this effort. The Council also conducted a public hearing on a proposed static billboard at 9200 Sunset and directed staff to work with the applicant to analyze and bring forward for consideration a digital billboard rather than the proposed static billboard at this location. Staff were directed to renegotiate the development agreement for a digital billboard and conduct the necessary CEQA analysis. They also requested that the project incorporate an evergreen tree rather than a deciduous tree if a tree still becomes part of the revised billboard design. And once a revised once a revised project is designed, analyzed, and negotiated, then staff will return to the Planning Commission prior to bringing the item back to Council for approval. I would like to thank Brian League, Property Development Manager, and Senior Contract Planner Jennifer Davis for their work on this project. Also related to the Sunset Arts and Advertising Program, the council approved an item brought forward from Vice Mayor Heilman and Councilmember Hang that directed the city manager to update and consolidate the staff support being provided to the city's billboard program to be within the Community Development Department. That includes incorporating 3 new permanent positions within our department to administer this program. That we establish application milestone targets that can be shared with applicants to ensure that projects remain on schedule throughout the process, and create a page on the city's website that provides information on the proposed and approved billboards along Sunset. We are also directed to return with a timeline for forthcoming billboards. Before I conclude my remarks, I'd like to hand it off to our Assistant Director, Jennifer Alkire, to share some information about the upcoming joint study session with the Planning Commission and City Council. Jennifer?
Good evening, thank you. Sorry. So we had a couple of questions, I think, maybe late last year about what to expect with the joint study session with the council that's coming right up in a couple of weeks here in February 2025. So I just wanted to cover a few basic things. It's really just going to be a conversation between the council and the Planning Commission to sort of suss out what the council's expectations are from this body where it relates to development agreements and public benefit analyses. To prepare, I would say just kind of think about some of the projects that we've had before, some of the things that we've brought forward and conversations that were had at this level and as that relates to the conversations that were had at the council level. But really it's going to be a conversation from the council. It's not coming from staff. We'll also be looking at the public benefits policy that was adopted in 2019, and we'll be going through how it's been applied over the last project or so. And so we will circulate information about that before the meeting. We'll include the public benefits policy as well as some supporting information. But if you have any questions or you want to talk through any of that ahead of time, you're welcome to reach out to myself, to Nick, or to either one of us. We're happy to provide information or answer questions. Thank you.
All right, this concludes the director's report. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions? I'll start over on my left. Commissioner Matos.
Thank you, Nick. Couple questions regarding the billboard at 9200. When that comes back to this body, can we anticipate that going to the Sunset Arts and Advertising Subcommittee again?
I think I'll let Jennifer weigh in on that as well, but we have not really gotten into what types of design revisions would be incorporated, if it would just be replacing the sign area that was reviewed previously by this body that's as a static sign and becoming a digital sign, or if there would be a larger redesign of the entire sign. So we really don't know yet, I would say, what is being proposed as an alternative to what was before the commission and then the council with respect to that project. But I'll let Jennifer see if there's anything she wants to add.
I think you covered it. I think we're waiting to see what they come back with, and then we'll make that call, and it would depend on how substantially the design of the sign has changed.
And just one more follow-up question to the 9200 billboard. I watched the meeting. I know that timelines are tough, but is just given that we're now like a week out or whatever from that meeting, do you guys have any idea on a timeline yet, or?
We would need to see the design revisions from the applicant before we know what we're dealing with,
okay.
Right? So they know the timeline.
Okay, perfect. And then last question, just for the good of the order and the record, what is the date for that special session with the City Council?
February 24th, it's a Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Will that meeting be recorded?
I will say yes.
Okay.
I think it's a public meeting like any other, so it should be. If that's not the correct answer, I will let you know.
Commissioner Jones.
Just a note, that's at 6 p.m., not 6:30 p.m., correct?
Correct.
I have it calendared. I just want to make sure.
That. Yes, it is
Okay.
at 6 p.m., just like council.
Great, thank you.
And we do have another Planning Commission, regular meeting of the Planning Commission scheduled prior to that meeting. So.
Okay. Commissioner Solomon, did I see your hand up? No? Okay. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 8, consent calendar. We have no items. Same for item number 9, public hearing, section 1, project subject to the Housing Accountability Act. Item 10A is our first hearing and only hearing of this evening. 8869 to 8871 Santa Monica Boulevard. This is a public hearing regarding a proposed change of use from a restaurant to a nightclub with full alcohol service, dance floor, live entertainment, and an outdoor patio. And we will begin with the staff report.
Yes, good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Roger Rath, and I am an Associate Planner with the Current and Historic Preservation Planning Team. The request before you, as you mentioned, is a change of use from a restaurant to a nightclub with live entertainment, a full range of alcoholic beverages, and a dance floor and outdoor patio. As shown here in the aerial view, the property outlined in red is located near the corner of San Vicente Boulevard and Santa Monica Boulevard. The site is located within the CC1 zone, surrounded by restaurant, bars, and retail uses. The area is part of Santa Monica Boulevard West sub-area, which is identified in a general plan as a regional destination for nightlife and entertainment. This is the proposed facade for the nightclub. The facade improvements, the combination of the two former tenant spaces, and the second floor addition were all approved under a zone clearance. Today's request focused solely on the nightclub use. This slide shows the proposed layout of the nightclub. The first floor indicates the bar, dance floor, seating area, stage, restrooms for patrons, and a 700 square foot outdoor patio. The second floor, which is restricted to staff only, features a DJ area, storage, and an office, and a bathroom. The applicant is requesting operating hours from 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. However, the Planning Commission's jurisdiction is limited to approving hours of operation up to 2 o'clock a.m. Any operations beyond this time would require separate approval by the Business License Commission. As such, staff recommends that operations end at 2 o'clock a.m. Additionally, to ensure an orderly closing, staff recommends that the sale and service of alcohol end 30 minutes earlier, giving patrons time to finish their drinks and leave the premises. Noise mitigation is a key consideration for nightclub uses, especially in areas near residential properties. To address potential impacts, staff has included several conditions of approval. This slide highlights just a few key measures, but the full list of conditions can be found on page 7 of the staff report. Key conditions of approvals included in the resolution are as follows. The speaker and stage placement requires staff approval for location. The second floor is restricted to staff only. And condition 11.17, the Director of Community Development will review the permit 6 months after operation commence to determine if additional conditions are needed to address any disturbances. In summary, it is staff's assessment that the proposed nightclub use at 8869 to 8871 Santa Monica Boulevard meets all required findings, does not impede the implementation of the general plan, in that this proposed nightclub aligns with the city's long-term vision of enhancing Santa Monica Boulevard as a hub for entertainment and nightlife, supporting both economic growth and vibrancy. And it is consistent with the provisions of the zoning ordinance. For these reasons, staff recommends that the Commission approve the request, subject to the findings and conditions of approval and the draft resolution. So this concludes my presentation. The applicant team is here in attendance, and they have a verbal presentation that they would like to share as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Roger. Before the applicant's presentation, are there any disclosures? No disclosures, okay. And are there any clarification questions to ask to staff before the presentation? Looks like we have a couple. I'm gonna start left again. So I think Commissioner Carvalero, did I see your hand up?
Yep. Just a quick question about soundproofing. Do you test it after the applicant has finished construction and before certificate of occupancy? Or is the inspector aware of the soundproofing requirements and is checking it along the way?
I'm sorry, Commissioner, is your mic on? I'm not sure if I can fully hear you. I'm sorry, can you say that one more time?
Hey, yeah. So the question is in regard to soundproofing. Do you test after the project is built and before C of O, or is the inspector aware of the soundproofing requirement and is checking along the way to make sure that there aren't issues at the end?
Oh, I see. So yeah, the inspectors do check after the commencement of the operations to just ensure that the operation is reviewed correctly in terms of just making sure that that doesn't affect the residential neighborhood. So after the operations.
Okay, so the requirement for the installation is called out on drawings. The inspector can refer to the drawings and see it in place. I just want to avoid the possibility of the business finishing construction and then having to tear things out.
I see. I'm sorry. Now I don't know what's wrong with my hearing, but I was explaining the question. And yeah, so the soundproofing can be implemented in multiple different ways. It could be just material. It could also be on operations. It also can be in terms of layout. So because of this location, the soundproofing comes in terms of the layout, where the back area is all bathrooms. And then there's a separation from that to the residential properties in the rear where there's a parking lot. And then from there, there's also like the U.S. Postal Office that also provides that additional distance of allowing for that soundproofing.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any issues with the layout. I just wanted to ask that question in terms of C of O and the operation and how they actually test for it. Thank you.
Commissioner Matos.
Thank you, Chair Lombardi. Just a quick clarifying question for staff. I understood the staff report. Obviously, Business License Commission is the one that would review an after-hours business license. I came from that body, so that made sense to me. My question is regarding the staff recommendation. I saw the reasoning for it in the staff report, but I'm curious, when we're structuring these types of approvals for other entities like this, are we allowing them to go until 2 in the morning, or are we conditioning all of them to be 1:30?
You're talking about for the sales and service?
For the sale and consumption of alcohol specifically.
I see. So there's a difference between the sales and service. So we allow that till 1:30. We've seen that for other projects. We require the projects to end 30 minutes early so that people have time to wrap up. But the consumption, we allow till closing time so the people have time to finish up their drinks at 2:00 a.m.
Yeah, no, I understand the logic behind it, but I'm wondering what's the standard procedure for other types of businesses like this? Because if we're allowing other businesses to operate on sale and consumption of alcohol until 2 in the morning, I think it would be standard procedure to follow that precedent here if that is the case.
I see. So this condition is prevalent in other nightclub and bar uses. We do recommend to the commission for other projects that they do close 30 minutes early. So this requirement is not new to any other projects.
Okay, so we do this in other...
This is the standard practice, yes.
This is the standard
practice.
practice.
Alcohol sales and service stop a half an hour before, and consumption can go till the full hours.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to jump over to this side. Commissioner Solomon?
I'm just going to follow up just to make sure that I'm understanding correctly, because the staff report and the way in which the tables lay it out feels slightly different, but sale and service of alcohol on page 7 of 11, the staff recommendation is for sale and service to end at 1:30 a.m. If we then jump to page 9 of 11 on the staff report, which basically shows all of the closest competitors, the table on the far right side indicates for most of them 2 a.m. ending, but you're saying that that is not specific to the sale and service of alcohol in those locations.
So for the hours of alcohol service that's located on page 9 and 10, those includes the consumption hours as well. So it's just the total hours. If I were to have separated it by the sales and service, it would all say, 30 minutes prior, and then after that, you know, 2 o'clock for the consumption or whatever time it ends.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay. Vice Chair Gregoire, did you have a question?
Just to beat a dead horse, but so Fiesta Cantina, Mickey's, Revolver, they all are supposed to end their service at 1:30 as well.
So some of those predate this process, and so some of them have grandfathered conditions that may have not had that half-hour provision, but it is standard practice for all of the new CUPs that we've done in the last probably more than 10 years to have this provision.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Then we can move on to the applicant's presentation. And please provide your name and city of residence, and you will have 10 minutes. Thank you.
Excellent. I'll keep this short. Thank you for having us this evening, commissioners. My name is Brett Engstrom. I reside in the city of Pasadena. I'm here on behalf of applicant Sweetwater Enterprises, Inc., planning to open a new nightclub at 8869 to 8871 Santa Monica Boulevard. We have a pending development permit and conditional use permit application to allow the nightclub operation, live entertainment, dancing, and also a small patio use along Santa Monica Boulevard. The new nightclub will combine 2 tenant spaces which were previously occupied by 2 small restaurants. They will be the only tenant in the building. The main floor will include a bar area, restrooms, seating, dance floor, and a small stage area. The upstairs has a small mezzanine area which includes storage room, restroom, office, and a small area for a DJ. Only staff will be permitted on the 2nd floor. The applicant is also proposing a 700 square foot outdoor patio along the front of the building facing Santa Monica Boulevard. The new business will operate mainly as a bar during daytime hours and will convert into a nightclub for the evening hours in operation. Proposed hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 4 a.m. However, we understand your jurisdiction limits that to 2 a.m. at this meeting. The nightclub will operate with a Type 48 license for a public premise with a full line of alcohol. Under this license, all managers, employees involved with the sale of alcohol will be required to attend the Department of ABC's Responsible Beverage Server program. The applicant and business owner is a longtime member of the LA County Sheriff's Department, is familiar with the area. She is here this evening. She'll be a much more interesting presenter, and I'd like to introduce her and have her answer any questions you may have.
What's crack-a-lackin'? As you can see, I'm a little bit more laid back than everybody. My name is Bernadette Gambino. I am a almost 27-year member of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. I retired in 2015. I became a private investigator, which was fun, but did not fulfill the dreams I had. I am an entertainer by nature. And to fulfill that dream, I was looking for a space. I started right after the pandemic. I came to West Hollywood and I saw all the empty businesses. And I said, damn, this would be a great place to open a bar. Kept looking around, calling, nobody ever called me back, and I guess it just wasn't in the cards right then. And then a very important person in my life right now, along with the rest of my team, geared me towards a broker who helped me find that location at 8869, 8871. And let me tell you, that was like, I was like, what the hell am I doing? I don't know anything about owning a bar. But what I do know is my perseverance, my tenacity, and my ability to make anything that I attempt work. So here I am. I signed a lease in February of 2024. And I've been going through the arduous process with the city, with designers, with architects, with anyone that would listen to me about what my dream was. And my dream was to open a bar in the city of West Hollywood that would cater to my community, which is a lesbian bar. I'm old as fuck. I'm sorry, can I say that? I'm old. Older. I'm older. I turned 60 last year. And I've watched lesbian bars come and go by the wayside. and there's not a place for my community to come. This is a great town, but it's Boys Town. And I wanted to bring my community to this town for a place to enjoy, entertainment, sit down, have a drink. And my idea of entertainment is not go-go dancers. My idea is actual entertainment for this area. That allows my creative brain to work. That allows me to bring my creative brain to the city of West Hollywood and create a space that's not matched in this city, nor has been matched in this city since I've been coming here since I'm 21 years old. And that was a long-ass time ago. In order for me to do this, I had to make sure that I was willing to take on the responsibility, both legally, ethically, and morally, for this space. That means making sure that anyone that comes into my space is safe. That is my main priority. I want everybody to have a good time, but I worked this city. I was a sergeant in this city, and I've gone to all the calls. So I know the things that happen within the confines of the bars in this neighborhood, and I want to make sure that I bring my expertise to that space so people are safe, whether it be from drinking, from fondling, from stolen cell phones, no matter what it is. That is my main priority while people are having a good time. I'm a lot of fun. I'm great in terms of I'm very easygoing, but I also have that side of me that's a very hard line. Okay, I don't do shady shit. I will follow whatever the laws and the rules are of this city to make sure that I abide by everything that goes on. During our neighborhood meeting, we had one complaint about noise, and I answered that email directly myself. So I will make sure that I am available to the patrons, to the residents of this city, if they have any concerns, comments, anything that needs to be done. I want to make sure that I am an asset to the city, not a liability. So in closing, I hope that you will take into account that even though I don't have the experience, you know what? I did take a bar owner's class before I started to make sure, and I practically mortgaged my life, but that's okay. And I do intend on taking a bartender's class because I need to make sure that I know what's going on around the bar, in the bar, behind the bar, in the kitchen, and out on the dance floors, and anywhere within the confines of my building. So, that was unrehearsed, by the way. In closing, I would appreciate your consideration in allowing me to open this business and bring lesbians back to the city of West Hollywood. It's gonna be epic. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And just friendly reminder, please do be careful of language because it does. We are on television. I know. I just had to say it. So with that being said, are there any questions for the applicant, or do we want to open the public comment portion of the hearing first? Yes? Okay. Sounds like there are some questions. So I will begin with Commissioner Hoopengarden.
Before you go, by the way, I do have my designer here.
Okay.
And I have my GC here, and of course, my representative for my liquor license as well. So ask away.
Thank you.
Thank you. Roger, can you bring up, I think it's like page 3 of your presentation. It's the proposed facade.
Yeah, no problem.
Is this a question? Oh, okay, I see. You want that up for the applicant?
I want that up for her to be able to answer the question. Thank you. My question is, what is the space between the tree well on the street side? There's a very large jacaranda right there at the corner. And thank you. Yes, maybe you can you make that bigger? The space between that tree well and the proposed outer edge of the patio.
You're talking about the tree that's closest to the street.
Correct. Because it's not on the plans.
Okay, hang on a second. It might be on the engineering. I'm looking for it. get the survey?
Can we double check with planning staff what the minimal clearance requirements are between?
My concern is the proposed double queuing and what two people wide would fill in that narrow space, given that that's one of our most congested pedestrian intersections. And so the tree's not going anywhere. And you want your maximum size on the patio, which I can completely understand. But I want to make sure that there's still good flow on the sidewalk. And so that's my question. I walked it myself. It's maybe 6 feet.
In all honesty, I think it's a little bigger than that,
Okay.
based on where the edge of the...
Not the edge of the tree, but the edge of the tree well.
Correct, right.
Okay.
I think there's a good, if I'm not mistaken, is it 9? I think it's 9. I think it's closer to 9 feet.
I literally just walked it.
Yeah.
Because I'm very concerned that when you have two people abreast, that's a good 5 feet right there. And that would seriously, potentially impede that flow. My second question then relates to that queue. Which direction do you propose that queue to wind? Is it next door to the cantina, or do you propose it to wind around the billboard at Mister?
I actually, because of the way my idea of the way the metal railing is to bring it around so it does not impede anything around Mister. So it would actually come down southbound to the edge of the railing and then down the railing and then around the corner of Mister to make sure that there's not an impediment of the flow of traffic or the foot traffic.
Once more.
Okay, so if you're looking at where Mister is, there's going to be
Railing.
the railing, thank you, the railing that goes along the south edge of the patio. So coming out of that area from the front gate entering the patio area, going southbound, and then up the railing, and then around to Mister to where it's not impeding any flow of traffic.
So in short, you want the queue to go westward, not eastward?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. West versus east. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for simplifying that.
Okay.
I think, when I think of Santa Monica going towards San Vicente, I keep thinking that's south and then kind of northwest going up San Vicente.
It's Route 66. It
yes.
goes to the ocean. Whatever.
But it'll be the opposite direction of Fiesta Cantina.
Okay, that was my question. All right. If we could get some of that spacing established, because that's my concern. And we just went through Comedy Store and we required a single line queue there.
Correct.
So I just want that to be fully fleshed out as we move forward. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Any other questions, or do we want to do public comment? Okay, let's go on to public comment. So I will now open the public comment portion of the hearing. Secretary Gillig, do we have anyone wishing to speak?
Thank you, Chair. We do. We have one in chambers. Our first and only speaker will be Alexis. Alexis, you will have 3 minutes. Please state your name and city of residence.
Good evening, commissioners. My name is Alexis Reyes. I actually reside in Santa Monica, but I am the Vice President of Strategy and Development for Green Queen, which is a queer-owned business literally right next door to Sweetwater's future home. We share a wall. We're currently on the plans. You can see it as the Mister building. But on behalf of Green Queen, I just wanted to share how excited we are to hopefully welcome another queer-owned business to West Hollywood, and to reiterate just how important it is to see more LGBTQ entrepreneurs reclaiming space in the Rainbow District specifically. But beyond my role at Green Queen, I'm also here as a queer woman who is, at times struggled to feel fully at home in West Hollywood's nightlife. been coming here similarly for about 6 years now, and so many myself, my girlfriend, so many of our friends, have often felt like outsiders, and I can't tell you how many times there's been times where people ask you if I'm part of a bachelorette party or this gay guy's best friend, and honestly, it can feel exhausting to justify your presence in a space that's supposed to be for you. And that's why Sweetwater matters. At a time when lesbian bars are disappearing across the country, like Bernie mentioned, Sweetwater and establishments like it are more important than ever. And it's crazy to think that West Hollywood, as one of the most famous LGBTQ cities in the world, doesn't have a single dedicated lesbian bar. And so for years, queer women and non-binary folks have had to carve out spaces in venues that were never really built for us by us. And so under Bernie's leadership, Sweetwater is an opportunity to change that. It's more than just another bar. And I think with that, I would like to urge you to approve this project and help ensure that West Hollywood is a place where all members of our community have a space to call their own. And so with that, thank you.
And thank you. And Chair, that is our last public speaker.
Okay, and no one on Zoom.
We are all clear on Zoom.
Okay. Well, there is opportunity for an applicant's rebuttal. Should you have anything that you would like to say at this time?
I second what she said.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to thank planning staff for all the work they did bringing us to the hearing. We read the conditions, we find them acceptable, and would appreciate your support.
Okay, thank you. Well, then I will close the public comment portion of the hearing and bring this matter back to the commission. However, we would like to reserve the right to ask questions of city staff or the applicant should that come up. And just to kick that off, are there any questions right now for staff or the applicant before we go into deliberation?
Just my question. How
Okay.
wide is it?
Which question?
How wide is the space there?
So the width there is approximately 8 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
And staff feels that queuing too wide is sufficient, given how crowded that intersection is? We went through this in detail on the Comedy Store, and so yay, it's crowded. Wonderful, it's crowded, but let's make sure that we don't end up with a traffic jam. So that's my concern.
We are prepared to update the condition. We do have the condition that talks about having two abreast in line. We can update that to have it be a single, one person in line.
That's the plan, Roger.
The commission
It's single.
prefers?
It's a single, yeah.
Okay.
That's the plan. Single.
Well, then if that's the plan, maybe we should put that in the resolutions.
Okay. A question, Commissioner Matos, before we get too far into deliberation, or
I was going to go into deliberation.
unless Commissioner Cooper-Gardner, you wanted to kick it off? No? Okay, Commissioner Matos?
I can just continue with the same thought. It's just, my concern is congestion, and it's hard enough controlling that to begin with, that I think that, a single file line is not egregious and would make it a lot better flow in that space.
Okay.
I will say this, that when I've been contacted by Fiesta Cantina and they use the front of my space because I'm not there and I don't have access to it right now. So there hasn't been an issue with them putting up their stuff and having that enclosure there. So I'd imagine that it would probably be the same when I'm there. It's just a different business. So since I rented the property at 8869, 8871, I've been contacted on every major holiday by Fiesta Cantina to allow them to use the entire front of my building as an additional outdoor dining space. And they've set up their barricades, and it hasn't been an issue, so I'm not sure.
That's the dining space. I'm talking about the queuing.
Right, it's
outside the dining space.
Right, we're looking at a single file line, maybe 2 to 2.5, 3 feet wide, that would go down the edge of the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my concern. Is
Okay,
just
okay.
that it's a single file line instead of double. If the applicant thinks that's what they're doing, then perhaps we should put that in the conditions. And then with that, I would be very happy with this. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, yes, it's long past time for some more lesbian bars in West Hollywood. And I would love activating that space in that corner. And I would fully support this motion. Just making a point to the public as a whole that, remember, we're approving alcohol use which goes with the land, not with this person who seems wonderfully enthusiastic. But you know, the use goes with the land. But that being said, it's the heart of, you know, the party district. So with all due respect to the late Jean Dobrin, another alcohol permit, I don't have a problem with at this intersection.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're fully in deliberation now, so I think we'll keep it up here unless we need to have questions of staff or applicant. And okay, sounds like we have one from Commissioner Jones.
If we can ask questions during deliberation, I can ask.
Let's try to get other questions out first, so that there's not too much back and forth.
This is my only question, literally my only question, because all the other ones have already been asked. What does Fiesta do for their queue? Anybody up here can answer this too.
They literally wrap it in.
Is it single file?
Yeah.
Even during Halloween and Pride?
Yes, all the time.
Okay.
Many a nights there.
Totally great.
Yeah.
As long as whatever they do is what I would say we should.
Yeah. All of
it
the.
sounds like single file is the plan and the applicant is aligned. So.
Mickey's is the same way.
Great. That's it. Thanks.
Okay, great.
I want to make some comments if I can, Chair.
Yes.
First of all, I want to thank planning staff and the applicant for bringing this proposal forward. First, I'm going to speak to the project. This is such a very unique opportunity to activate a part of the city that has seen businesses come and go, that attracts loitering, and there's a lot of actual loitering that takes place now with businesses being empty. So I don't really see a valid concern in the, patio space distance, because there's so many businesses along that frontage that have existing patios that queue appropriately. And I see that we have a good faith applicant here that's willing to move along the lines of single file line. So I'll just speak to that. I think that if there's concern for the body about, the ability of them to comply with that in line with every other bar on Santa Monica Boulevard, we can ask it to come back for a review, but I don't think that we should condition human behavior in an amendment to the item. So I'll say that first. The second part goes more towards the merits of this business. This community is in such need of a business that serves queer women. It's something that I have heard time and time again in our community. We are the LGBTQIA plus community. We're not just the G community. So I'm so excited to see this proposal come forward with a good faith applicant. Thank you for your service to the Sheriff's Department and your commitment to public safety and keeping your patrons safe, by the way. And then just on a personal note, I will end by saying, your presentation was great, and we saw something in your presentation that very rarely comes before the Planning Commission, and that's passion and heart. I have no doubts that you will operate this business well. If there's concerns on the body about their ability to operate within standard operating procedures of Santa Monica Boulevard at night, then we can do a loop back in 6 months to have a discussion item come forward. If there's an issue, we can pull it. If not, we could leave it. But I would not be in support of any arduous conditions of approval on this, and I'm enthusiastically going to vote to approve this item. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to clarify that my question was not in any way relating to the actual patio area. The patio area is the patio area. My question was solely related to the queuing and solely related to Resolution 11.13, which says 2 wide instead of 1 wide. And given the standard practice and given what we just did on the Comedy Store, I suggested that 2 simply become 1. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Carvalero.
Yeah. I think Commissioner Hooper Gardner's comments are worth merit. And more from the perspective of the person going to the bar. I'm not so concerned about the congestion, but I want to make sure that the people going into the bar are safe and that that safe space actually comes out onto the streets. So the single line, given that area is pretty small, seems reasonable and makes the patrons safer potentially, because people get riled up around 2 in the morning and sometimes things get wacky. But I have complete confidence in this applicant that that's going to happen and that people are going to feel safe. So I can go either way on whether we add a resolution. I'm 100% in support of this project. It's been a long time coming. I remember when we opened Stash, we had the same conversation then. The conditions were the same with time with Stash as it is for this project. So yeah, I'm okay.
Commissioner Solomon?
Thank you for the fiery, passionate presentation. I look forward to supporting this project, being a patron one day. In regards to the queuing, I hear the concern is about where the patio meets the sidewalk and wanting to have a wide sidewalk. But as we go around that corner to Mister, it's a pretty broad, it's a larger bulb out. And in that instance, I think it certainly does make sense to be 2 abreast. Otherwise, the line gets so long that it goes uphill out of the well-lit area of Santa Monica Boulevard. So trying to find a compromise here and not overly debate this very small issue, but perhaps, when it is, when the queuing line is adjacent to the patio space, 1 apart. Everywhere else, it can be wider.
And I hope that this business actually has that problem to deal with, because that's a good thing.
Okay. Commissioner Jones or Vice Chair Gregoire, anything you want to add?
I don't have any, yes, I'll speak on it, of course. I am enthusiastically in support of this project. I am happy to hear additional discussion around the queuing. I think we hope that it is a resounding success and that there are lots of opportunities for lots of people to queue. I defer to best practice, what else is happening in adjacent properties with the same use on that street and what my fellow commissioners deem best. But, my inclination is to keep it in line with what else is happening on that stretch of the street. So those are my comments. Very happy to bring the lesbians back to West Hollywood. So.
Thank you. Vice Chair Gregoire, any comments?
Hey, I don't have any strong feeling about the queuing. I heard the applicant said she was fine with a single line. I recall being yelled at by security on that block because we were 2 abreast at one point, and they wanted us to make sure the flow of traffic on the sidewalk wasn't being impeded. So I'm okay either way, either having the condition proposed by Commissioner Hooper-Gardner or not. I think the practice is to try to keep people to a single line, but human nature is such that security usually has to keep telling people to have a single line. So.
Okay, thank you. I'll keep my comments pretty quick because I think it follows some of the same themes that we've been hearing here tonight. So I just want to say, first of all, I love the story of community involvement and opportunity, and that seems like this is one of those wonderful stories. And it seems like I feel like the applicant seems to understand the task at hand, that there's a challenge, and I think that that's what's so amazing about our community and this country is to give people opportunity to bring things to our community. And in that note, in particular, the opportunity for a space that provides something for the lesbian and non-binary and queer community as well. I think that's amazing because I feel like that's a little bit of a gap in West Hollywood. So, I mean, it's all a wonderful story, and it seems like I mean, I'm definitely in support of the project. The one note that I have, and this may go to those up here, my colleagues that have been here longer than me, is just in terms of typical procedures and conditions and what we may include. And so I'm thinking back to STASH, which was actually right before I joined the Planning Commission, but I'm curious if typically we put in a noise check, and I think it was different in STASH. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because this is a change of use, and it's going to be an amplification. So if there's precedent there to follow that, I think that we just would get a check at set
There is
intervals.
one in the conditions,
There
but
is, but I
not the
think
one by
it-
Planning Commission.
Correct, not by Planning Commission. So I don't know what's typical procedure or if there's a logic to the way it's in now. That's the only question that I have, is if it should be written as we've seen on some of the ones that I'm remembering right now.
Well, we did,
Yes.
yes, we've done it on a couple of projects, and normally I would agree with you, but honestly, with this project, because it came up in detail on Rocco's, because they had such a big, wide patio which pointed north towards the community. This is pointing south towards the sheriff's station. So I personally don't see it as the same noise issue.
Okay.
That other STASH is in the middle of the Norma Triangle. This is not, and the post office is behind it. I mean, it's just really surrounded by infrastructure and not by neighborhoods. So personally, I would usually be with you on that, but on this project, I think it's an extra burden on both staff and the applicant that I don't see as necessary.
Okay, great. I appreciate the input. That's exactly what I wanted to hear from everyone up here. So if there's,
I mean, Commissioner Caballero, Commissioner Jones, you've been on a lot of these.
Well, I remember we did get a report from STASH like 6 months in, and there were no complaints. So, and that, like, I agree with you, that area is much more challenging than this area is here. There's so much buffer, and the way the layout of the bar is situated with the bathrooms in the back, there's even more buffer just internally. Yeah, I don't have I don't have an issue with it.
Okay, great. Well, I thank you, Commissioner Matos. I see that you've requested to motion. So did you want to state your motion?
I'd like to move the staff recommendation.
Excuse me, I already motioned.
Oh, I don't see that here.
It's right on the screen.
Mine says Commissioner Matos.
Oh, hers says Commissioner Hoopengarner. I pushed the button quite a while ago.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to continue
I don't know
with
what
my motion. My motion is to move the staff recommendation as proposed.
I'll second. Okay. Sorry, Commissioner Hoopengarner. I don't know why my screen says Matos and I'm looking over here, but we have a motion and a second. Yeah. Are there any comments before we go to vote?
I just feel that it's important that we keep this in the conditions on the single line. We did it to Comedy Store. I feel it's important that we're consistent, and we're consistent with the best practices, because remembering the best intentions of the applicant is limited to the applicant's personal resource. They have people, they have general managers, they have other people that are going to rely on this document as their guideline. And that's why I feel that the single person with queue is important. And I think it's important to be consistent and important to document it. And it is a very congested space. And I am thrilled the applicant got the experience she does as a sheriff and understands public safety, and that's great. But let's document it in a way that shows the understanding that we all have.
Okay, motion maker second. Is there any?
If it makes the body feel better, I'd be willing to do a 6-month come back to the Planning Commission after they open to see, but I don't think it's necessary.
You're not willing to strike on 11-13 from 2 to 1?
No.
Then I would make a substitute motion.
Okay. Okay, so please state your substitute motion.
I would move to approve the staff's recommendation with the exception of amending item 11.13 to say that there are no more than one abreast in a line located parallel to and against the outdoor patio.
Okay. So we vote on the substitute motion first, procedurally? If we have to get a second. Good point. Anyone going to second the substitute motion? Anyone?
I'll second it.
Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Carvalero.
I'm reading from Rosenberg's Rules of Order.
Yes.
That says the chair would deal with the last motion on the floor, the substitute motion first.
Okay.
So because we have a motion and a second, on the substitute motion, we would deal with the substitute motion first. And if that substitute motion failed, we would go with the original motion.
Okay. And I don't want to race along too fast, so is there any comment or discussion? Commissioner Carvalero.
I have a comment. In regards to the second motion, the applicant prefers single lines. She mentioned it. So it's not like we're making this more difficult. It's what the applicant prefers. So
Precisely.
I think there's many layers to it that
Is
are...
this a standard proposal that we're looking at here?
No.
I'm asking staff.
Yeah, so the two abreast in line came from the code. So in the nightclub standards, it says exactly how this is kind of written.
So to be consistent with the city code and in line with prior precedent, this is in line with all of those things. This item, this element.
Yeah.
Is it how many have we done too wide, Jennifer?
I don't know that off the top of my head. I know that this is in the standards for the nightclubs, and I also know that if they wanted to practice single file line in practice, that would be more than allowed under, it just says no more than two abreast, so they could operate the way that they're saying with the current condition.
Okay. Commissioner Jones, I think you wanted to say something.
I think my comment is just that, again, because of the way that it's worded, it's just that there are no more than two abreast. What I don't want to do is regulate it so much that if there's an instance in which public safety would require that there be two abreast, that they don't have the opportunity to do that.
Yep.
So it's not more than two. I don't object to one at all, and if that's a best practice, it sounds like the applicant is aligned. I just don't know that I feel the need to codify it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. For transparency, since we're procedurally voting on this, I'll just say my first thought was, yeah, it should be single. But now that I'm thinking about the language, the way it's written, look, human nature, people will sometimes be kind of next to each other. It gives some flexibility there. I have confidence that it can be handled if this is regular for the city. So I don't know if it's necessary to overregulate. Anyone else want to speak, or should we?
I just want to say that I'm enthusiastically in support of this, but I am against doing a typical change to this specific bar that other bars have not been subject to, and we just heard from staff that in line with prior precedent and the code, this item is in line.
Okay. Thank you. Are we good to vote? Anyone else have?
Chair, I would just note, since we have I'm sorry, that's very loud. Since we have the substitute motion on the floor in a second, and there will be a vote on that, just a question for the motion maker and the second on that substitute motion. So the way to codify that request would be to change condition of approval 11.13 to read as amended: the operator of the nightclub shall organize and maintain the patron queue so that there would be a single file line located parallel to and against the outdoor patio, and the rest of the condition would be unchanged.
Okay, is that clear for everyone?
And just to clarify, that does not in any way prevent there from being two abreast beyond the patio, around the corner. It says a single file against the patio, which is my sole concern, is the area against the patio.
So that condition will be read that the entire line needs to be single file and that it goes in that direction along the barrier of the patio.
Whatever.
I do want to make sure that we're
I say
all
we-
okay and clear on what we're voting on and the intent.
I'm clear.
Okay.
I think we should drop it.
Okay.
If my colleagues are that opposed, I just want there to be good public safety. That's all.
Understood.
I
Understood.
just feel that it would be best with clear direction. But if my colleagues are opposed, then that's fine.
Okay. So we're clear on what the sub-motion is that we're voting on right now. I see that there are some already up here. I think you do have the option to modify it if that's necessary, but we'll now vote.
And the substitute motion fails, noting 2 ayes, 5 noes.
Okay, thank you. So now the original motion stands. Anything procedurally I need to state or that you would like to state, Isaac?
Thank you, Chair. No, just as you said, the original motion to move staff's recommendation as made by Commissioner Matos and seconded by Commissioner Solomon would now be voted on.
Okay. We're all clear what we're voting on? Okay, thank you. I don't have the option to vote, I will say. It's not working for me. Oh. Long delay.
And the motion passes unanimously, approving the resolution number PC 251594 as amended. We do have an appeal process. The resolution the Planning Commission just approved memorializes the Commission's final action on this matter. This action is subject to appeal to the City Council. Appeals must be submitted within 10 calendar days from this date to the City Clerk's office. Appeals must be in writing and accompanied by the required fees. The City Clerk's office can provide appeal forms and information about waiver of fees.
Okay, thank you. Item number 11, new business. We have no items. Item number 12, unfinished business, also no items. 13, excluded consent calendar, no items. That brings us to item 14, items from staff, planning manager's update, and subcommittee management.
Good evening. I just wanted to introduce Garen Yalis, who's currently the acting planning manager for current historic preservation planning, and he will give the update tonight.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. So for the upcoming agendas for the Planning Commission, our next meeting will be on February 20th. We have a fairly heavy agenda at this point. There are 4 public hearings. First public hearing is for a change of use from residential to commercial office at 7748 Santa Monica Boulevard. We have another public hearing for a subdivision project at 1216 North Flores Street. There's 2 zone text amendments. The first one is on ministerial housing permit for new entitlements, and the second is on shared housing buildings and units. There will also be a new business item to provide the Commission with an overview on the zoning improvement program that Nick mentioned earlier, and that would be led by our long-range planning division. And finally, we've tentatively scheduled a consent calendar item for an update on an amendment staff is currently working on for the 910 Weatherly project, the 100% affordable housing project. The following meeting for Planning Commission will be on March 6th. In that meeting, there will be a new business item with the notice of availability of the draft environmental impact report for the proposed mixed-use project at 1000 North La Brea Avenue. This would be an opportunity to receive commission and public comments only. The EIR is available online and also available, physical copies are available if the commission requests. There will also be 2 public hearings at that meeting. The first one located at 8945 Santa Monica Boulevard. That's an intensification of use to a nightclub and outdoor dining. And the second is a zone text amendment for expanded noticing and engagement for development agreements. The Commission did hear this item at the January 16th meeting and provided direction to staff. That's for Planning Commission. Now I'll go to upcoming subcommittee meetings. Just wanted to start off by there is some construction going on at the library through April 5th, and we wanted to let the commission know that the start time for the Design Review Subcommittee and Sunset Arts and Advertising Subcommittee may be moved to 6:30 depending on availability. So we will follow up with the commission next week to confirm that time and ensure that that works for the commission. So for Design Review Subcommittee, we have a meeting scheduled for March 13th for a proposed mixed-use project at 401 North Robertson. That's the southwest corner of Robertson and Ashcroft Avenue. For the Sunset Arts and Advertising Subcommittee, we have 2 upcoming meetings scheduled. One on February 27 for the proposed billboard project at 8439 Sunset Boulevard. That's the Piazza del Sol property. And then a second meeting on March 27th for the proposed billboard at 8760 Sunset Boulevard, the Mutado Musica property. And as of now, there are no items scheduled for upcoming items for the Long Range Planning Project Subcommittee. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones?
Hi, Karen. The 327 meeting, that's Sassy, correct? For the billboard? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a quick one. The SASE meeting's at 5 or 5:30? It's at only at 6?
Typically 5.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Great. Thank you very much. Item number 15, public comment.
Chair, we have no public comments.
Okay. Item 16, items from commissioners. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, everyone. I just wanted to state for the record, I was remiss in not, I don't think, letting people know that I was going to be gone for that first meeting of the year, but what would have been our second meeting in January. I am back at work after being laid off when I was pregnant, and just appreciate the public's patience. And I just want to apologize for not stating that up front. I did have to miss our last meeting of the year and then our first meeting of the year for work trips that had been planned months in advance. So just want to say thanks for your patience and grace as I navigate being a working mom and a planning commissioner. That's it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Well, then it's 7:42 p.m. and I would like to adjourn this regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting. Our next meeting will be on Thursday, February 20th, 2025, here at Council Chambers at 6:30 p.m. Thank you.
Amazing organization called Wags and Walks, and my history with her is making sure it's a good place to nap, lots of food in her bowl, and lots of treats. It's a really hard life.
I think the transition of power went well. She's very food driven, so I don't know how she felt about giving a bone away, but she seemed to do it okay. So, you know, a friendship comes first.
She's going to go advocate for all of her furry friends in Washington, and then she's going to come back here and, you know, cut some ribbons and make sure all of her furry friends have a forever home.